Yo, this your boy FTF Chuck D's.
And it's your boy Taye Asuntos.
What's going on? Today we about to talk about the moving business, man.
Yes,
When I
sir.
say the moving business, I'm not talking about a company with a truck that's gonna move you from point A to point B. I'm talking about how it is moving from state to state and the cost of living, the fears, and everything like that. So I like to bring those conversations up into fruition because I don't want nobody to feel like they stuck in the city or a state and they want to move out, whether it be too cold or it's too dangerous or you got kids or you just want a different life change. I don't want you to feel scared. So
Facts.
got my boy Tay with me, man. We just wanted to break it down to everybody. You got a little experience with that, man. You didn't move from Flint, moved back, moved back.
Yes, sir.
So what's going on?
You do too, man. But I'm going to just say this. The main three states I lived in is Ohio, Michigan, California. I was in New York briefly for a couple months, but I would just say those three. Man, that's different. It's different. Like, you would think Ohio and Michigan is very much of the same, but it's so different. Very different.
Well, I would figure lifestyle would be different, especially depending on where you're from in Michigan and where you go to in Ohio. Lifestyle, everything, the way it moves. Because some of those cities out there are pretty lucrative.
Yeah, bro, it's kind of weird. We don't wake up in Michigan and just think, oh, man, we hate Ohio. Like, you're not going to see that in our schools and, stuff like that. Out there, the hatred for Michigan and Michigan people is very, very strong. Like, it's crazy. They do not like us. I remember in high school, I would never forget. We was at lunch, and this when Michigan and Ohio State was about to play. And they gave me this Coke bottle because I was the only one from Michigan. And it had the Michigan sign with a big red X on it. The school did that.
And where was you in school? You was in school where?
In Youngstown. This is Youngstown, like 30 minutes away from Cleveland, 45 minutes away from Cleveland.
Okay.
So, yeah, I was like, at that point in time, I'm like, man, I got to get up out of here, bro. This is weird. Like, why would you waste your money on that? But on some, like, living expenses and things like that, how did you, I'm going to start with, because I'm going to talk about mine, but how did you feel? Because, I mean, you live in Arizona now, you from Flint, and, the cost of living, I would say, is probably a little bit different, but probably not too much different as far as from Michigan. So how do you feel?
I'm going to tell you now, it's not a big jump going from Michigan to Arizona as far as cost of living goes.
Mm-hmm.
But before we kick this off, I do want to say, I didn't move from Flint because of dangers of the city or anything like that.
Exactly.
I do believe that Michigan is a really beautiful place to live.
Mm-hmm.
I just think that it's too cold. Well, my wife thinks it's too cold. I like the snow. I just could do without the wind, if you know what I mean. But we moved from Michigan a little while back. My expectations, though, were that it was gonna be cost of living because you can get a decent apartment in Michigan for $600,
right,
a month,
mm-hmm.
And you'll make. I didn't make minimum wage, but at minimum wage, you'll make somewhere from like $300 a week to maybe a little more. So if you can make that in Michigan and honestly learn priorities, then you can survive. But down here, you got to be about your business, and you can't go in here thinking that you about to just go live wherever. Sometimes you might not like where you live. I knew that when I moved here, I wanted my kids to be in a good school and a good neighborhood. So I moved down here with the expectations of paying more.
Right.
So not really thinking that you're going to make more either.
Mm-hmm.
So when I moved down here, obviously I made more money, and then I got to be able to move into an affordable neighborhood for me.
Mm-hmm.
Affordable neighborhood around a good school, good, everything was okay. The weather difference, honestly, and culture was the biggest changes for me.
Yes, sir.
As far as it went to moving from Michigan to Arizona, Flint, Michigan, Arizona, especially because as rough as people like to say Flint, Michigan is, the people there are very friendly. Like, you speak to somebody in Michigan, they're going to say hi back. You speak to somebody in Arizona, they're going to look at you like, did he just speak to me? You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So you don't get a lot of the same homey culture that you're going to get from state to state. Food is obviously different. I'm used to one thing and here sells another thing. Straight for real from Mexico, Mexican food. And then I got down home soul food in Michigan. So again, the two differences was a little vast.
Hey, the taco meat go from ground beef to carne asada, huh? Real quick.
Bro, real quick. Like it changed on me so fast. I didn't even know what carne asada was. Somebody said to me one time, I said, yeah, man, let me get a beef taco. They said, you want carne asada? I'm like, nah, bro. I said beef. he said, no, you want carne asada? Yeah, steak, cheese. I'm like, yeah, whatever, man. Give me that. They gave it to me. It was good. I ain't gonna lie, but I was expecting something different. So it kind of gave me a big what is a palate shock.
Did they put the guacamole all over the taco too?
Man, they threw that junk all over there. Sour cream, guacamole, pico de gallo. Man,
Yes,
they threw it
sir.
all over there, man. I was excited. Shoot, it was. But I had been different places, on vacations, and
Right.
Lived in New York for a couple months. Lived in Tacoma, Washington. So I done ate a lot of seafood. You know what I'm saying? I done ate a lot of Puerto Rican food, I guess is what I want to call it,
Yeah.
in New York, and that's what it is. It's
Yeah.
a lot of Puerto Rican food. So then I came here and ate a whole lot of Mexican food, and it was okay. I enjoy it. I'm a man of culture, and I'm fine with whatever culture the world brings me.
Mm-hmm.
But the move took a lot of dedication. So I'm not going to veer away from that. That move took a lot of dedication. And it took a lot of hard work for me and my wife to get it together, figure everything out, and make sure that we had our P's and Q's right. Because you can't get out here trying to move from one state to another state, living and thinking the same mind state of a smaller city to a bigger city, trying to party, drink, smoke, do all the things that one would do when they got a lot of free time. Nah, man, you got to buckle down, ignore all of that, make sure that you got all your ducks in order before you can even think of going out and trying to have a good time. And that was my experience when I first moved. We'll get into a little bit of what happened later on down the line throughout the podcast, but I want to know, how was your experience when you first moved, man?
Man, moving from Michigan to California, man, I had a lot of fear, honestly. Let me go back to even why I left the state of Michigan and left the city of Flint. Growing up there, just like anywhere else when people grow up, they want to leave. I personally never saw a future in Flint because you see your future. I didn't want to work at General Motors. I didn't want to work at, a factory. I didn't want to go to just wake up and do the typical 9 to 5 thing. I got bigger dreams, bigger goals for myself. So I want to challenge myself to do more and bring it back to Flint, get back. So I left to go, to California. And I would say, just making that big transition, you got to be mentally prepared, mentally strong, and you got to be, emotionally, you have to be all the way aligned with yourself, spiritually as well. If you
Because
not,
the emotion part will affect you heavy. Because that being
exactly.
homesick is real. That is a real thing.
Yeah, and then no family out here, so just being out here, by myself, it was like it was a different type of experience, man. It hit a little different. You don't even realize how much you value those conversations with your mom, your family, until you actually go, and that kind of hit me a different way, but on some other stuff about the financial aspect of it. Of course, coming from Michigan to California is completely different. Culture shock.
I want to know, how expensive is it living out there? Like, because I heard that it was really expensive. I've never lived in California, so I wouldn't know.
I can say this: it is what you make it, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of temptation in California, so people try to keep up with that. The clothes, the cars, the shoes, the jewelry, this and this and that.
Essentially trying to keep up with the Joneses, right?
Exactly. You know what I mean? So
every man's downfall.
To answer that question, it's like it really just depends, bro. Like it varies. Like you can live in a big city where it's more expensive, like $2,500 on the average for a place, or you can live on the outskirts of the big city where it's about $1,500 average. You know what I'm saying? So it depends, and you getting that minimum wage is higher than states like Michigan and Ohio. So I feel like it's comparable. It's the same. I actually had a conversation with my girl about this because she was talking about moving when we were down here to a different state, and I was like, well, I come from Michigan. I can tell you now, we go to a different state that's cheaper. Our minimum wage is going to be cheaper. It's going to be lower, so it's going to
you're not going to make that. You're not going to make that same California minimum wage.
Exactly, it's going to be the same thing. It's gonna even out. So I always tell people it's about where you want to struggle at, right? Do I
Right.
want to struggle in Flint or do I want to struggle in California? That's
At the end
obvious.
of the day,
That's
at the
obvious.
end of the day, I'd rather struggle with the beach.
I'm gonna struggle where there's more opportunity at.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like I'm not gonna struggle where I could just come up and maybe work at General Motors and live this depressing lifestyle for the rest of my life. I'm gonna struggle where there's production for movies. I can make a podcast. I can run into connections for real estate. Different type of things, and you never know. Opportunities may come in your way.
Yeah.
It's all about your work ethic, though. You got to have dedication to live out here, and I think that's one thing I value about California. Outside of the financial aspect, you got to have a strong mindset. Because if you don't, then you won't make it. It'll swallow you up, and chew you right back out.
And that's anywhere. And again, I wanted to mention like the move here took dedication as well.
Yeah,
Because we brought our vehicle and drove from Michigan, which is a 32-hour drive all the way to Phoenix.
yeah.
And to be honest, I think when you pack up and you move, especially me, I have children. So when I packed up and moved, it took a lot of dedication, heart, and grit for me to get out here and rebuild my life from what it once was to what it is now. And I think a lot of people undervalue the grind. I think somebody will see me out here living and be like, you know what? I'm gonna go do that too, man. It look like he having fun or whatever, but I'm not. I'm still grinding, man, every day. Even right now, it look like we having fun, man. We laugh, we joke, me and you. We
I
talk
got
'cause we've
work
been knowing
tomorrow.
each other. We've been knowing each other for a good little while,
Yeah,
man.
we are. Yeah, we
And
are.
and nowadays, man, we can laugh, we can jump on Xbox, we can kid, but at the end of the day, we got to get up and grind tomorrow. As soon as the morning start, we back up. The alarm clocks go off, we back up. So I think a lot of people undervalue what it takes to actually live in a different state. I think a lot of people don't have it here.
I was going to ask you. Actually, that's a good segue to my next question for you. What drove you? What was that thing that one day you just woke up like, man, you know what? I got to move from here.
Well, you could watch a city slowly deteriorate, and I'm from Flint.
Mm-hmm.
I could have moved to a different city in Michigan. But at the same time, my wife was always complaining about the cold, which is a thing. She don't like. She hate the winter, man. And then on top of that, we had the big water crisis.
Yeah.
In my opinion, there was nothing to do as far as grow yourself, as far as an entrepreneur in Michigan. I felt like an easier route was to separate myself from a city that really had no opportunities, no businesses there where you could start and build from the ground up for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
I felt like there was nothing for me there in that aspect. And I felt like given time in a bigger city with more opportunity, I could thrive anywhere. So my best friend lived here. We had talked about it in 2009, actually.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't move for 6 years. I stayed there and I tried to grit it out. Went to school, graduated, finished, did my thing. Then I just was like, all right, I'm out.
I feel you, man. It's a pride thing, and to let everybody know, I think Flint and Detroit are now on the up and coming as far as more opportunities go. It's starting to get more notice. But, growing up there was literally nothing. Like, we only had each other. That's the best way to put it.
Essentially, and if you can work well with somebody, man, you can make it. But at the end of the day, building a partnership is hard, especially trying to do a business while building that partnership. It's really hard, man, because mostly in Flint, man, you're gonna think for self. You got a family to feed too. And sometimes, man, doing the grind ain't what people want to do, and that's why I said they lack that grit up in here.
Yeah.
They lack that soulful hustle where sometimes you gotta build it from the ground, dig it out the mud, and grow it.
Exactly.
And I feel like even if you move to a state like California, because I've been scared out of moving to California.
Hey, it is.
I was once told that every apartment out there costs $3,000. I'm like, nah, I can't move out there, G.
That's not true.
I
say, okay, so let me answer that question, because I know you asked me that, the financial aspect of it. If I was to average out all of my apartments I lived in, price, everything. I'll say it probably averaged out to about 2,000. And these are all 2 bedrooms. My 1 bedroom was about 1,800, 800 square feet, but it was upgraded, just built, brand new, nice neighborhood, best
That's
schools,
pretty spacey
everything.
for a one
One
bedroom
bedroom,
anyway.
exactly. It's only me and my girl. It ain't even like I need like you know what I'm saying a big space. So it was cool, and I think that people get scared off of California because they hear people that aren't as strong minded and not as ambitious, or you know they don't think they can do it when they get out here and they fail. So they go back and tell other people, "Man, it's so expensive there. Oh my God, I can't do it." Well, you can do it. You know what I'm saying? It's possible. You just got to go out here and make it happen. Like you gonna make.
And not try to keep up with the Joneses, because at the end of the day, I always feel like there has to be an in between. If it's super expensive,
Man, it
and
is.
then they say people in certain areas are super poor, at some point there's a middle ground.
Chuck, I'm gonna tell you this, man. For $3,000 in San Diego, California, I can go out here and rent me a 3 bedroom house in a nice neighborhood.
Yeah, you might see me pretty soon in San Diego, sir.
Exactly.
Also, I heard everything is free for kids out there in October.
It's free. I think it's free throughout the year. I'm pretty sure. I think it's free throughout the year.
Hey, and a man with kids, I love to hear free.
So let me actually explain that part. And that's another thing about California, man. It's like, we come from Michigan. We don't really see a lot of things for kids to do out there as far as like amusement parks and stuff like that. We all went to Cedar Point. That's in Ohio. Out here you got Disneyland, you got amusement parks, you got the beaches, you got these little they do outside movies in the parks. They do Christmas in the parks for free, where you can just take the
They do
kids.
they do outside movies out here too.
Yeah.
Not as much because it'd be way too hot, but they do outside movies here. I was gonna say something about beaches. So are the beaches close by?
Oh yeah. From my house I got 3, so the closest one is about 10 minutes. Maybe a little bit less than that. Actually a little bit less than that. Maybe like 7 minutes. Literally across the bridge.
Man, that's deep. I didn't know people lived that close to a beach, man.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
That gotta be exciting. And you stay in SoCal, right?
Yeah, I live in San Diego.
See,
The home of the beach state, or home of the beach city. In San Diego alone, there's like 5 major beaches. So it's a lot. And they all different.
So another thing is, do you think a lot of people who never travel,
Mm-hmm.
or who never really done things in their life, growing up or whatever, do you think it's harder for them to actually move, go forward with separating themselves from to out of state versus just staying home and dealing with what they got to deal with?
Of course. If they didn't travel and they're not used to, being outside of their comfort zone, then they probably won't leave their comfort zone, and it's going to be very hard when they do. People that depend on their parents a lot, or that are very not independent, they're going to struggle. It's going to happen.
Yeah.
It's going to happen. You got to learn how to be independent before you make a big move or big leap like that. Like a lot of people, when they leave for college, they leave their home, they think, oh man, I'm gonna go so far away, I gotta get away from my parents, but they not independent. So
yeah, they haven't really grown that independency yet.
Exactly. That's why
a lot of college students usually fail and come back home.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's what you see a lot of the time, so I don't think like if they haven't traveled and they don't know what they getting themselves into, that they'll make it. That's not saying everybody won't be able to make it, but I think majority of people won't make it.
And that's fair. I always thought that. When I first moved to Arizona, I was thinking in my head like, dang man, because it was a point in my time in life. Because I don't deal with the whole I miss my family thing, or I miss this person, I miss that person, because I knew I had what I was doing this move for. So a lot of the move was based on me bettering me and my immediate family that I made. So it was a thing where it was. I have traveled before. I've been out, done my own thing. So then it became, okay, what can I do now? So when I moved, it was like really, I had already had my independency.
Right.
You know, I already lived on my own. I had already been out, and so it was nothing of that confusion in my head. Like if I fail, who do I got to fall back on? Or if I fail once, I just got to immediately pack it all up and go back home.
Exactly.
I never thought that way. So I never faltered in my decision on moving to Arizona. So I didn't have that mindset where, man, I'm failing, you know, because my first job didn't stick when I first got here.
Exactly.
I worked for a hospital out here. It wasn't really working out. I felt weird vibes, and it was me. I left. I just, you know, they were already telling me like, maybe we gonna pick up your contract. We may pick it up for less money and things like that. And I'm like, we ain't gonna do it for less money, so I'm gonna just go ahead and bounce.
Let me ask you this, because that's when you
Yo,
first got out there, right?
yeah.
Do you feel like that could be more of, you was used to dealing with these people from Michigan, and now you just in a whole different state, and that's when you're around more people when you work a new job and you starting to see how
Right.
people interact with each other in that different state.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
it was 100% that. That's why I said it was definitely me. I definitely was like, I think I'm getting a weird vibe. These people deal with each other every day.
Right.
It was just something that I wasn't used to, and that was part of that home that was sticking to my brain that I had to detach from so that I can incorporate myself into the business side of things here.
Yeah.
And I felt like that helped me stepping outside that box and realizing what I had to do. I feel like helped me in the long run. And I feel like that one piece of that segment in this podcast will help a lot of people. Sometimes you got to detach yourself from what you're used to.
Yeah.
And that'll stop you from having an attitude. That'll stop you from losing jobs. That'll stop you from not accepting jobs. That'll stop a whole bunch of stuff from happening. A whole lot of negative stuff from happening.
Yes, sir.
And you can grow and develop yourself in the things that you need to grow and develop in.
I agree with you. I think, to piggyback off what you said, some of the key things that people should look into when they think about even moving to these big cities or states, like a California or Phoenix or Arizona or Vegas, whatever the case may be, before you move, you got to think about, do you have the faith in yourself? Do you have the faith in God? Do you have the faith in whatever you believe in? Do you have a plan? What you going to do? You know what I'm saying? Do you have the determination? Do you have the hustle? Is your mind in the right place? You can't go out here if your mind not in the right place, you're gonna fail. And
before you pack your bags and your clothes, you need to pack those things first.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Yeah,
you need to pack them all. You need to pack all that. That need to be the first bag you carry out to that vehicle or that plane or anything before you decide that you're gonna move out of state or detach yourself from what you're used to and go to somewhere where you have no idea what you're gonna be getting yourself into. I don't care how many times you visited a place, it's not the same as when you live there.
It's crazy though. You hear about these horror stories of everybody thinking it's so expensive to live in California, but a lot of the Californian people look at the other places like, man, like I don't know if I could live there. Like, like a place like Texas. Bro, I hear people from California that always say like, I don't think I could live in a place like Texas. I hear New York people that come out here, man, I can't wait to go back to Manhattan, even though it's way more expensive in Manhattan. They love it. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's so much more. It's a reason why these places are expensive, because it's more.
Yeah. It's more opportunity, more culture, it's more views, it's more things to see. Listen.
The best way to compare it is, if you like your clothing, right?
Mm-hmm.
You want to go buy Dior or YSL, or you gonna go buy Aeropostale? You feel me?
That's definitely a good way to look at that.
A lot of people feel more comfortable living it or wearing it or going to buy that Aeropostale. That's why I always ask people, do they want to be California rich or they want to be Texas rich? Because everybody want to compare Texas.
And that question flies over a lot of people's head. I heard you actually ask somebody that before, and they was like, "Man, I'd rather be Texas rich." And I'm like, well, if you look at it, if you California rich, you're actually richer than you would be if you lived in Texas.
Hey, you ain't even gotta live in California. They just their mind was so trained to think this way, and so they automatically was like,
Texas. They automatically think Texas. I'm like, bro, you don't have to live in California. You just want to be California rich. Like, everything in California. If you California rich, since it's more expensive to live there than Texas, of course I want to be California rich, man.
Of course. Why
It's
would
gonna
I
fit
not?
everything I'm used to. So this is what we're gonna do, man. I'm gonna go ahead and give you that good toast.
Yes, sir. Hey, that Cabernet, you know.
Mm-hmm.